Conversations with a Dying Girl.
On this episode of Conversations with a Dying Girl, we have one of my best friends, Katey Burke. Katey Burke, how did we meet?
Brooke and I were freshman year roommates at Lehigh University.
When I got diagnosed, Katey was probably the first non-family member I told. Tell us about what it was like when I told you about my diagnosis.
I think because your symptoms hadn't progressed a lot, it didn't seem real, but it felt crushing. It felt devastating, and then the more, we read and talked, the scarier and harder it felt. It didn't seem real, I think, until the next few times I saw you in person. And I think that's when it just sunk in that, like, this is happening and there's nothing we can do to stop it from happening. I was a crier about it, and that was really hard because I never wanted to bring you down. I cried every time I was going to see you. I cried every time I was going to leave you. And I'm not a big hugger or a toucher, and suddenly I was like, I can't wait to see you and hug you. So that was like a red flag that I was not coping super well with this, but you were. So I think it's like your mom said, that like we're all just trying to kind of follow yours. The other funny part about it is that Brooke told me about, I think it was a week before my birthday, right? Irrelevant, like, I'm in my 30s, a birthday is not a big deal. But my birthday rolls around, and Brooke and I always talk on each other's birthdays, as we do most days, but I didn't hear from Brooke. And I had this horrible feeling, not that I hadn't heard from Brooke, but that I knew you would remember and feel horrible. And it was just
like May when I remembered. Her birthday's in March.
You said, OMG, did I forget your birthday? And I had 2 months to prepare for how I was going to respond, but I did feel really, really badly telling her she had forgotten my birthday.
Can you also talk about how you were like, I feel like I should be doing more?
Oh, yeah, okay. You do so much, Brooke, to raise awareness, raise funds, and as a friend, I know that my primary role is to support you and to be there for you, but as we've seen Brooke do so much, it's been really hard to wonder, am I doing enough? How can I play a larger role? And being the person that I am, I just held all those feelings in until they really reached a level where I almost couldn't have a conversation with Brooke. It ended up coming out with me coming to her with a list of suggestions on things that I might do in the fight against ALS, none of which make any sense at all.
Give a couple examples.
The list was that maybe I should completely shift careers, go back to school for biology and medicine and genetics, and become an ALS researcher, which would just take probably a casual 10 years to be prepared to do that, and I would not be particularly skilled at it. So that didn't make a lot of sense. My next idea was a good one, which
really good.
I like to run, and I thought maybe I should push Brooke in a marathon to raise awareness. I don't know where this idea came from, but in my head it was like, we're going to be the dynamic duo. And I asked Brooke if she might like that, and he just said, like, I mean, it would be like any other day. Then the third idea, I'm getting married, was that should I really be getting married at a time like this? And instead, should we turn it into a big ALS fundraiser or something? And Brooke shut that down and said she would kill me before anything happened to her. So
events like weddings and stuff, like people are like, oh, it feels so trivial, and I'm like, no, but I don't want the disease to stop me from going and being in these moments. If you were to skip it, I wouldn't be able to, like,
I know.
Support
that would be
you.
so much. Didn't you say until further notice, celebrate everything?
I didn't, but I quote it all the time.
It's a good quote.
Really
and
good.
it makes me realize, like, wait, that's what...
Celebrate everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and my final question, the hardest one. What caused my ALS?
I think I know the answer. Brooke and I did a hiking trip to Glacier, Montana. And it was just the two of us, and neither of us have any hiking or backpacking experience, and we were going to hike into Glacier and stay a couple nights and do this trip. And so we signed up for a group-led trip, and it was supposed to be up to 10 other people, and we were going to be led by 2 guides. Turns out nobody else happened to want to go on this particular trip, so it was just Brooke and me and 2 guides, shout out to Luke and Ryan, who ended up essentially being like our staff for about 4 days. And we all became very good friends, but there was also this funny element of, they were being paid to be there and we were there for vacation. I wouldn't call us princesses out in the wild, but there were a few non-negotiables for us, like our morning coffee. We had no desire to see anything cool at sunrise. We just wanted to sleep. This is what I do think caused it. I can only imagine there was a limit to Luke and Ryan being able to tolerate our shenanigans. So while they would bring us coffee in bed, i.e. into our tent, I can't help but think that they may have reached a boiling point and slipped a little something into the coffee just to make all this end. And maybe Brooke had a little more to say than I did. And they long game.
In the mornings, they'd be like, ladies, like knocking on our tent, and Katey would go, enter, and they would unzip it and hand us coffee.
But I do think it's my romance too.
Well, Katey, thank you for being on this